ichangamuke, sasa usiwache ikakaa hapo sana. Ya kula. So obviously, colleagues, on behalf of the Media Council of Kenya, our CEO, Bwana David Omoyo, MBS, President of World Association of Press Councils and the Chairman of the East African Press Councils, my colleagues here in your various collective and individual capacities, managers from the Media Council. I can see Christine Nguku, Assistant Director, OGW. I can see Dina, the manager for research. I can see Leo, who is in charge of the convener of this, the manager for press freedom. I can see Rebecca, manager accreditation. I can see our colleagues from the regions, the regional coordinator for Kisumu, Teddy, the regional coordinator for Meru, Karanja, the regional coordinator for Mombasa, Maureen Moody, the regional coordinator Nakuru, the host is Mecha Joseph. I can see our EGP expert and the colleague Mildred there, our head of procurement. Siku hizi mnaitwa EGP managers, sio? So I can see karibu sana Mildred. I can see Dr. Ndonye from Kabarak University and your students, karibuni. Sally, I can see you are there, healthy and smiling. Karibuni sana. Our other colleagues from Katiba Institute, special thanks. Again, we are the partners for this event, led by Christine. Ako pale, naona naangalia chini kwa chini, ameshindwa kule hapo, but we will see. I can see Kevin Mabonga. Even when it's hot, I can see he's putting on a heavy jacket. Naona daktari, karibu sana, Dr. Njogu from Kenya National Commission on NATCOM. Our chief guest obviously came earlier, Information Secretary. He's also a board member of the Media Council of Kenya, Bwana Temesi, karibu sana. Martin Masai mwenyewe, senior, Editors Guild, plus sasa ako gazeti anatoa inaitwa The Anchor, inachapa kabisa ina Eastern Region. Tunakula huko news haraka yuko naona ED wa AMWIK, Association of Media Women in Kenya, Quinta, madam ako pale. Abraham Marita, namuona Internews, haiwezi kubaki nyuma. Nakaribishwa yuko SG mwenyewe, Secretary General, ambaye alikuwa anataka achukue kwa Atuoli but amewacha, sasa anataka kuchukua Senator Siaya. Karibu sana Bwana Eric Oduor SG mwenyewe. Our colleagues, naona pale CAS International from Baringo representing, naona our colleague from ODPP, sio, karibu sana, and we acknowledge you and appreciate. Naona Josephine from IWAT, karibu sana, and all colleagues invited. Karibuni sana. We want to start by appreciating you for honoring our invitation. And again, also to remind you of the day. Today, the day is normally marked on 2nd of November, which was yesterday, as you are aware, but it was a Sunday. A number of you obviously reserved that day for prayers. So that's why we moved it to today. The day is set aside by the UN to take stock of the statistics of the number of journalists that have been either injured, threatened, harassed, and the number of cases, and our colleague from ODB will be telling us the issue of impunity. In short, it's called crimes against journalists, and what steps have been taken to remedy the situation. And obviously, as you are aware, Kenya, we have not done very well in terms of completion of cases. We start, but somehow the cases remain hanging for various reasons. We are not blaming any person particularly, but that our records are very bad. I think internationally we have only 4 cases that have been taken to completion. In a country where we report nearly over 100, Halima's in over 100 cases in a year, I mean. We have over 100 cases in a year, and if you look at the completion rates in terms of the cases we clear, it's not very encouraging. and colleagues, some of the panelists will be discussing, they are the pull and pull factors. They are purely the bit of ODPP, IPOA, IG, they have their own blame, but we also have our own, as a media sector ourselves, that we never follow up cases. Even going to report is a problem. Even when we are called to go to be a witness is a problem. Then hii mambo ya kuonwa kando. Unasema mtu alinipiga lakini ameshaniona. Tuachane na hiyo maneno. Sasa it frustrates even the investigating officers or the prosecution, because once ukisema mtu aliniona mlimalizana, so what do they do? So I mean, that's why I talked about pull and push factors that are purely, sometimes media houses refuse to even acknowledge that that was their reporter. So there's a number of issues that are involved, but our records have not been very good. We have only the case of, I think, Makori, which was Moi's time. He was awarded, I think, 4 million. I don't know if he has been paid today. Alidai mpaka, I think, akachoka kwenda AG's office. Kulikuwa na kesi ya Wallace Gichere, some of you know, senior photographer who jumped out of a window in Buruburu, Nairobi, because of special branch guys. Yes. Karibu sana bwana CEO Media Council of Kenya. Bwana Moyo. I think bwana sijui ni hivyo. Ni cases kidogo sana ambazo tunashika tukienda mpaka mwisho yake. So Wallace, Makori, then there were the cases of the Siaya case, the KNA guy against the OCS Siaya. Then there was a case of Busia, the Ojamong Men in Black versus John Mondo and Franklin Buire of Standard and Citizen. At least.
Actually, I'm told this morning ODPP wamepoteza ile file ya Homa Bay.
Yeah, and our colleague from ODPP, I mean, yeah. So, I mean, but those are some of the things, but a lot of it will be colleagues talking about some of the challenges, because as we are saying, it's a collective action. It's not one person, but the cases go so slow that they're so frustrating. That's why the day is called impunity, and it's not limited to Kenya. The issue of completing cases against journalists is not just Kenya. You remember the UN had to put in a whole resolution. There's a UN resolution on crimes against journalists. There's a UNESCO resolution against crimes against journalists. So it's not just one thing. In Kenya here, a lot of the time, we limit, when we talk about journalists being harassed or done, and there are a number of cases, kidnap, harassment, closure of newsrooms. Now, like the theme this time is on online, tech enables harassment, especially against female journalists, body shaming, online trolling. That things have happened. A number of journalists, you remember Stella Mrumba in Nation, the Afia story, and somebody goes, picks your photo when you are paying dowry, and then he mixes with your professional work. So somebody picks up a photo of when you are in primary. The people will tell that wacha kuishi maisha yako yote online. Ukula ugali, ukitoka tu Baringo kufika Nakuru hapa, ushaweka Nakuru here I come. So hiyo vitu sometimes overexposes. Ukipeleka mtoto shule unasema I've dropped my angel, sio? Na huyo angel vile umemdrop umesema hata shule anasoma, mwenye atakuwa na wewe issue anafuata mtoto, anajua mahali hata mtoto wake anasoma, sio? And those things happen during anniversaries, birthday or inaitwaje hii marriage, wedding. Watu wenye wana kidnap, watu huwa wana time hizo siku. Those are the days, anniversaries that people are kidnapped, or we have already, even Dara Baringo vile uko hapa na umeshasema my journalism career takes me places, Nakuru here I come. Sasa uko Baringo, hata mwenye anataka kuibia ashajua uko Nakuru. Sasa anaenda anavunja nyumba anaingia, because umeweka kwa mtandao uko Nakuru. So some of the things are personal, that sometimes we overshare information, then it exposes us elsewhere. So they are purely those. So this year is purely personal, that sometimes we overshare information, then sasa uko Baringo, hata mwenye anataka usiku. Those are the days, anniversaries that people are kidnapped, or we have already, even Dara Baringo vile uko hapa na umeshasema my journalism career takes me places, Nakuru here I come. Sasa huko Baringo, hata mwenye anataka kuijua mahali hata mtoto wake anasoma, sio? Wa exposes, ukipeleka mtoto shule, ukula ugali, ukitoka tu Baringo kufika Nakuru hapa, ushaweka Nakuru here I come. So hiyo vitu sometimes online trolling, that things have happened. A number of journalists, you remember Stella Mrumba in Nation of newsrooms. Now, like the theme this time is on online tech enabled harassment, especially against female journalists, body shaming, online trolling. That things have happened. A number of journalists, you remember Stella Mrumba in Nation, the Afia story, and somebody goes, picks your photo when you are paying dowry, and then he mixes with your professional work. So somebody picks up a photo of when you are in primary. The people will tell that wacha kuishi maisha yako yote online. Ukula ugali, ukitoka tu Baringo kufika Nakuru hapa, ushaweka Nakuru here I come. So hiyo vitu sometimes over exposes, ukipeleka mtoto shule unasema I've dropped my angel, sio? Na hata huyo angel vile umemdrop umesema hata shule anasoma, mwenye atakuwa na wewe issue anafuata mtoto, anajua mahali hata mtoto wake anasoma, sio? And those things happen during anniversaries, birthday or inaitwaje hii marriage, wedding. Watu wenye wana kidnap, watu huwa wana time hizo siku. Those are the days, anniversaries that people are kidnapped or we have already. Even hata Baringo vile uko hapa na umeshasema my journalism career takes me places, Nakuru here I come. Sasa huko Baringo, hata mwenye anataka kuibia ashajua uko Nakuru. Sasa anaenda anavunja nyumba anaingia because umeweka kwa mtandao huko Nakuru. So some of the things are personal that sometimes we overshare information, then it exposes us elsewhere. So they are purely those. So this year is purely around the tech enabled, especially against ladies, and which people will, the plenaries will be discussing. So those are some of the issues that will be coming up. So and we have mixed both lecturers, practitioners, government agencies, and people who have also been victims of those activities, because we report these cases almost every day. So be free to share with us once you are on a panel or once you have gotten a
menti.com, and then you enter the code so that you can be able to give some feedback to four variables that we are looking at for purposes of evaluating this event. Menti.com, and then you put in the code. The code is 58332052. Menti.com. Menti.com. Karibuni kila mtu, even the ones that Victor didn't mention. We'll get an opportunity, of course, to introduce ourselves. So the first question is, what is your profession or sector? I see already we are getting feedback, journalists, ICT student. The code is 58332052. 58332052. Media practitioner, student, media, we don't have government, communication officer. Tunajua tuko na serikali lakini wamenyamaza hapa tu. Legal, civil society, I've not seen that. Masese, I see you there. I'm waiting for your feedback. All right, we move to the next one. In 2 words, what does I-Day mean to you? What does I-Day mean to you?
I-Day, International Day for Impunity against Journalists. In short,
for crimes against journalists, like Victor keeps saying, it's about crimes against journalism, isn't it? But what is your understanding? How do you connect with that? How do you connect with safety for journalists? How do you connect with, do you consider journalists to be professionals? Do you consider journalists to be, to be people who should operate? Because when you are attacking them, when you are targeting them online, do you consider them as human beings in the first place, as the beginning? So threats on press freedom, protection is the key word. Yeah. Motivation, great, thank you. Let's move to the next one. I think that's workplace safety, very important. A free media, it's justice. Cool stuff, very critical. Thank you. We move to the next one. What do you understand safety of journalists to mean? I know it's a little bit related, but what do you understand that safety to mean? Is it your responsibility? For example, if you found a journalist being clobbered on the streets, would you defend them? Or you will take a stone and join the ones who are beating up the journalists? If they lose the equipment, would you get into uchangia? If you're a media house owner, would you give them protective gear? Why are you not giving them protective gear in the first place? Particularly the freelancers and the community journalists and anybody who is employed in a media house. Thank you. We move to the final question. This is the last one. With your patience, would you protect a journalist you found being assaulted? I think, yeah. Let's see. It's actually a yes and no question. So if you're sure you will not protect, just say no. Don't lie to us. It's good feedback. Hyoko, it's good feedback so that we know what to do and how to intervene. The good thing is that it's anonymous. Thank you. Victor, handing back to you. Also, if you are tweeting, you can take a selfie, you tweet us, it's iDay, hashtag iDay 2025. iDay 2025. You can tag Media Council of Kenya. You can tag us, a colleague here. So, thank you so much.
Do you think what people should introduce themselves? No. Okay. So thanks, Leo. So we move then next. I want to, at this, as Eric told me, at this juncture, to invite our colleague from the county commissioner's office. Karibu sana. Karibu sana.
Asante. Good morning, all of you. I want to adapt the protocol as established by the first speaker. My name is Were Simiyu. I'm a senior deputy county commissioner for Nakuru East. But here I'm representing the county commissioner. He told me to come and welcome you to Nakuru. So that is exactly what I've come to do. Karibuni sana Nakuru. Si nimemaliza? Ama niendelee? Karibuni sana Nakuru. Feel secure. Nakuru is a secure town. It's a beautiful town. Don't be in a hurry to go back to Nairobi or other places that you came from. Try to see what Nakuru has. We are a city now, just like Nairobi, Kisumu, and Mombasa. We pride ourselves in that. Very secure place, Sambo. We have the national park around here. We have parks in Naivasha. We have Menengai up here, Krata. You can sample what Nakuru offers. Karibuni sana Nakuru. Na mjisikie mko nyumbani.
Asante sana. Asante sana Bwana Were. SG, for a minute. Yeah. You know, there are positions once you reach, you can never be ignored. So, karibu sana SG.
Thank you, BY. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning. Eric Odwor is my name, Secretary General of Kenya Union of Journalists. This is also a day that we sit and just reflect of what is going on as far as the safety of journalists are concerned. because journalists, like any other professionals, they deserve a safe environment where they are able to work and deliver as per the expectations of the public. I think you remember on Sabasaba when doctors were invaded and attacked by the protesters in one of the hospitals in this country. You could see the outrage that how come these people invaded the hospital and attacked doctors. But when it happens to journalists, nobody talks about it. So it requires us to a little bit step up the campaigns and the advocacy for safety of journalists, just like any other professionals, because like it had happened to journalists before, this time around they attacked hospitals. Probably next time they'll attack the courts. Maybe the other day they'll also attack engineers, wherever they work. So it's very important that when we talk about safety of journalists, we should see journalists just like other professionals. And Victor was telling you why sometimes some of these things are surprising and concern to me. And I was telling you when I was seated here, that there's a journalist who was attacked in Homa Bay 2 months ago by an employee of the county government. We followed up until the suspect was arrested. The police, together with the ODPP, prepared a faulty charge sheet. The charge sheet was presented, and we objected as the people who were supporting that journalist. We protested that the case could not proceed until the charge sheet is amended. We are asked to write a letter to the ODPP so that the charge sheet can be amended, which we did. And like I was saying today, they were supposed to be pre-trialed case today. The charge sheet, the letter that we wrote for the amending the charge sheet disappeared from the files of the ODPP. So if we are talking about these things, sometimes we have to follow, and I'm saying it because I know you said that there is a representative of the office of the ODPP, so that he can go back and tell the boss that journalists are not happy. If they can present a faulty charge sheet in court, they tell us that write to us, we amend the charge sheet. The pre-trial was supposed to happen 2 months ago. They did not act on it. Today the pre-trial is going on. Now that letter has disappeared from the file. So who stole the letter from the file? And I think when we have such a day, those are the things that we're supposed to be talking about so that we are able to assign and trace where the problem is. So today in the morning, I think it was a very sad day for me when I received that call from Homa Bay that Eric, the letter disappeared from the office. Ladies and gentlemen, let us protect journalists. If we do not have free and independent media, next time they'll attack you and nobody will talk about it. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
And the UN Action Plan on Safety and Protection of Journalists talks of 3 Ps. See, the prosecution, prevention, and promotion. See, prosecution is purely now the work of our colleagues, investigate and prosecute and charge, because a number of the frustrations, and we have seen these cases, Ingabire, who was killed in Uganda, they wait for you in a compromising place when you are coming from a bar or wherever. The night, they know they're looking for you on a crime-related matter, but you are arrested and called a rapist, so that then even the industry cannot support you. That's why we're telling journalists to also know where you sit, because they will charge you on a crime of, they know it's a journalistic-related matter, and they will arrest you, but they will charge you and say you are drunk and disorderly. Azori Agwanda in Tanzania was receiving grants from a number of institutions doing deep investigative stories. When they arrested him, you know what they charged him with? They knew they were looking for him for journalist-related work, but they charged him for tax evasion, that he was receiving money from international and he was not declaring. Yet these were grants to support him do journalistic work. So when the charge in court at that time read tax evasion. But the guy disappeared up to now. Now it's almost 5 years. Nobody knows where he died. Obviously, the likelihood is it's dead. So colleagues, we need to, the false charge issue is a serious thing. Because if somebody has been assaulted, remember, when we are talking about the rights of journalists, let's look at it holistically, like Eric said. It's not just about Article 34. When a journalist is intimidated, harassed, or beaten, or done, there are almost 7 rights that have been violated. There's the right to the journalistic work, Article 34 is there, but the right to security, there's right to life, there's right to a decent job, labor laws, because journalists earn from writing. So once you deny them work, then you have denied them a right to a decent job. Sure. Just like any other Kenyan, they have a right to life and security, away from even journalistic work. So let's look at this thing in a very bigger manner. And now, with now the online issue for now, that how many of us are utilizing, while there are genuine concerns about those laws related to online space, but a number of us are also using those spaces to harass and intimidate others to a level that is pushing people to commit suicide, to do other things. So these are all holistic things that in our advocacy, and Banalio, we are working on a national safety mechanism for the country. You are there, we will involve the other colleagues. We had one which has been overpassed by events. We need to update it because also things have changed. So we are working on national safety strategy for journalists. And this will be guided by the UN Action Plan on safety. Remember, Kenya is also a signatory to the SDG 16A on safety and security. Again, we produce a report every year, and this data is there. I'm sure, Dr. Njogu, you are aware, in fact, because the letter comes from your office. This letter from UN, the UNESCO, reminding us about, they are still asking about Kitui, they are still, Henry Nyaroro, they are still asking up to date. And the letters, and now the numbers have been increasing. We used to have 2, now they have reached almost 6 journalists in Kenya, who the UNESCO every year writes to us to tell them the progress of those cases. You remember Nyaruri was 2009. It's not something yesterday, up to today. Kitui in Eldoret, you remember again, very old cases. So again, sometimes it's very international embarrassment. And if you look at how we have scored in the Reporters Without Borders score this year, it tells you, why have we moved from number 60 to 119, I think, Dina? RSF Kenya. 119 or 116. You can see that even Djibouti is scoring better than us in safety of, in terms of freedom of expression. It's very embarrassing. And simply because of some of those statistics, that cases are open, then there's no closure or follow-up. So, Bwana Martin Masai, Kenya Editors Guild, karibu sana Bwana MM.
Asante sana, Victor. When you look at your program, you see that the president of Kenya Editors Guild ought to be the person on the stage. So this is not Zubeida Kananu. My name is Martin Masai. I'm a trustee of the Kenya Editors Guild, where I chair the Ethics, Media Freedom, and Media Freedom Committee of the Guild. So mimi niko hapa kama mtumwa na naomba tu nifanye kazi hii ya utumwa haraka haraka. Information Secretary, Mr. Temesi, the CEO of the Media Council of Kenya, representative from the county commissioner's office. It is a profound honor to join you this morning as we commemorate this day to end impunity for crimes against journalists. I speak here as a journalist, even as I am a media leader, deeply committed to safeguarding press freedom and securing justice for all those who dare to tell the truth. Today, we are not merely here to mark a date on the calendar, but to renew our collective conscience around the world, to renew our collective conscience. Around the world and here at home, journalists continue to face threats, intimidation, and even death simply for informing the public. For far too many of these crimes happening daily, and they remain unresolved. You've heard my predecessors here speak about these cases. Here in Nakuru, the case of a journalist who was shot last year still remains unresolved. And for us to keep the flame burning as Keg, we recognized her as a media freedom warrior in the last convention held here in Nakuru. So, crimes against humanity are crimes against the truth and against democracy itself. We must therefore reaffirm that journalism is not a crime. Storytelling is not sedition. It's an act of public service, a service without which no nation can claim to be free or just. When journalists are silenced, corruption thrives, injustice deepens, and citizens are left in darkness. This is why we are all here today to make this call urgent to end impunity, uphold accountability, and protect those who protect the truth. Kenya has made progress, yes, but you have had the numbers here. 1 step forward, 3 steps backward. Impunity still lingers in the shadows, uninvestigated attacks, online harassment, economic censorship, and political intolerance. At the office of the director of the DCI, between that office and the office of the director of criminal prosecutions, public prosecutions, the list is so long that we have kept submitting every year, yet no action, not even an acknowledgement that something is being done. It's like you're talking to a stone. And we will keep doing this every year. Be so sure we must do what priests do every Sunday. We'll come every time and call for action, because you're in those offices to do a service to citizens. We are not seeking favors as journalists. No, we're just insisting that the bearer of the message must be protected at all costs. So this is why we make this call. And I need to say here that we look beyond our borders to the region and to real-life examples of impunity that demand our attention. In Tanzania, things are still unfolding. You've just heard here somebody disappeared. We do not know how many are dead. When there's going to be light, we need to find out how many journalists are living or maimed. So this is all over, and we cannot just pretend that we are safe here in Kenya when it's terrible out there with our neighbors. Ladies and gentlemen, this year's Day reminds us that justice for journalists is justice for all. It compels government, civil society, and the media industry to act together, to investigate, to prosecute, to reform systems that fail victims, to make safety a right and not a privilege. So as we remember journalists who have paid the ultimate price, let us also celebrate the resilience of those who persist. And they are many on a daily basis. They continue to write, film, photograph, and speak truth to power, to encourage. Their courage defines the conscience of our nation. And I would want to make a special call that do not feel intimidated. You have a role that originates even in the scriptures. You must tell the truth to power. So our partners, UNESCO, the Media Council, a great organization led by Mr. Omoyo, you have done us great to be at the front line in demanding safety for journalists, taking the conversation right to police confines so that they change their approaches. Your collaboration strengthens our fight as journalists for justice and keeps alive the ideals of a free, informed, and democratic society. Finally, my fellow journalists, professionalism remains our shield. And let's not forget this. Let us be truthful in our work. fair and ethical, for integrity is a foundation of credibility. We will not be fair to anybody if we come here, raise these issues, call to action, and not remind ourselves that the trust people have on the media must be safeguarded by being truthful, fair, and ethical in what we do. Press freedom must walk hand in hand with responsibility to the public. Do not use journalism as a weapon. So as we stand here together in this solemn day, let us pledge anew that no journalist shall be threatened into silence, that no voice of truth shall go unheard, that justice will never again be delayed or denied. So ladies and gentlemen, let the world know that Kenya stands on the side of the truth, freedom, and justice. Thank you.
I want to call upon our colleague from Katiba Institute, Chris Mkuria, karibu.
Our chief guest and Secretary for Information and Broadcasting, Mr. Temesi Mukani, the CEO, Media Council of Kenya, who is also a co-host of this event, Mr. David Omoyo. All protocols observed. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. We are pleased once again to co-host this important commemoration of the International Day to End Impunity for Crimes Against Journalists, together with the Media Council of Kenya. This partnership reflects our shared commitment to protecting journalists, defending media freedom, and promoting constitutional values that underpin open and accountable governance. This year's theme, Chat GBV, raising awareness on AI-facilitated gender-based violence against women journalists, draws attention to one of the most urgent challenges facing press freedom today, namely the misuse of technology to silence women in journalism. The accelerated use of technologies is in virtually all aspects of our lives is a reality that we must embrace. Artificial intelligence presents an opportunity that needs to be exploited to facilitate universal access to information. It has the potential of maximizing the benefits that come from increased uptake of e-governance or digitally enabled governance. When properly applied, it can enable accessibility to information by reducing bureaucracy and rigidity of manual government processes, thus cultivate efficiency in delivery of public services. It can also reduce the cost of accessing information by enabling timely and less costly processes. However, in the contrary, it can also be misused, resulting in technology-based violence, as the topic of the day reminds us. Around the world, and here in Kenya, women journalists are facing new forms of intimidation, AI-generated disinformation, deepfakes, and online harassment. These attacks are not just personal. They strike at the very foundation of our constitutional democracy. A report by UNESCO titled The Chilling Report revealed that 73% of women journalists have faced online abuse, with many suffering offline consequences. And we will all get statistics, with many facing suffering online consequences, and some of the statistics have already been highlighted by previous speakers. This form of violence undermines the right to freedom of expression, guaranteed under Article 33 of our Constitution, and the freedom and independence of the media protected by Article 34. When journalists are silenced, the public loses the benefits of accessing accurate information, diverse perspectives, and accountability. In effect, such attacks also infringe on the public's. When journalists are silenced, the public loses the benefits of accessing accurate information, diverse perspectives, and accountability. In effect, such attacks also infringe on the public's right of access to information as enshrined in Article 35 of our Constitution. The global theme and the sub-theme set for today's discussion invite us to reflect on the critical temporary issues of technologies and its implications on human rights. As Katiba Institute, our work is to promote constitutionalism, the rule of law, and good governance. And in line with our strategic intervention on human rights in the digital world as stipulated in our 2025-2029 strategic plan, we seek to enhance the protection of fundamental rights in the context of emerging technologies, digital governance, and the growing challenges of misinformation and disinformation. Our efforts focus on strengthening systems for the responsible use of artificial intelligence in Africa through a range of initiatives, including research and capacity building on AI-related risks, combating the spread and impact of disinformation and misinformation online, safeguarding against the effects of emerging technologies on people's lives, and promoting responsive measures through advocacy and public interest litigation. Our work, therefore, focuses on ensuring that these rights are respected, protected, and fulfilled in line with Article 21 of the Constitution, which places that duty squarely on the state and its organs. This was canvassed by the courts in the case on Coalition on Violence Against Women, COVAW, an independent medical legal unit, and 11 others, versus the State Law Office and ODPP and 3 others, in which case Katiba Institute was amicus curiae. The case related to the 2017 post-election violence and the state's due diligence obligations over third parties who committed sexual and gender-based violence against victims during the post-election violence. And the courts have underscored the role of government in protection of the public. We see technology-facilitated gender-based violence as a constitutional issue, not merely a digital one. It violates the principles of equality and non-discrimination, as provided in Article 27 of the Constitution, the right to human dignity, provided in Article 28, and the right to freedom and security of the person, provided in Article 29, which explicitly prohibits violence from any public or private sources. Article 33 of the Constitution, while guaranteeing the right to expression, to freedom of expression, which includes freedom to seek, receive, and impart information or ideas, does not protect advocacy of hatred that, among others, is based on any ground of discrimination as specified or contemplated in Article 27. We believe that technology should advance these rights and not erode them. On today's global theme, AI-facilitated gender-based violence against women journalists, we are called to be alive to the gendered angle of GBV broadly, and in context of AI-facilitated GBV. That is to say, be conscious of the particular vulnerabilities of women, and indeed women journalists, who are disproportionately impacted by GBV, including online GBV due to their gender. The Constitution of Kenya is alive to these realities and includes in Article 10 of the Constitution human dignity, equity, social justice, inclusiveness, equality, human rights, non-discrimination, and protection of the marginalized among the national values and principles of government. Ladies and gentlemen, the persistence of impunity for crimes against journalists remains a serious concern. Whether online or offline, failure to investigate and prosecute these crimes encourages perpetrators and weakens the rule of law. Ending impunity means demanding accountability from both state and non-state actors, from those who misuse digital tools to harass journalists to those who fail to protect them. It also means urging technology companies to take responsibility for content moderation and algorithmic bias, ensuring that AI systems do not amplify hate or gender disinformation. As we look forward, the protection of women journalists requires all of us here to be involved and calls on the need for us to strengthen digital safety and media literacy initiatives. Secondly, to adopt gender-responsive policies in media regulation and digital governance, to build solidarity networks that support those facing threats, and to promote ethical innovation that aligns with constitutional and human rights standards. As Katiba Institute, we are dedicated to collaborating with our partners to defend media freedom and uphold the constitutional promise of an open, inclusive, and accountable society. As we commemorate this day, let us remember that protecting journalists is essential to promoting and protecting democracy. Let us create an environment where women journalists can tell their stories without fear or intimidation. Thank you, and God bless you all.
I want to welcome Dr. Anjogu, Chief Executive of Acting Kenya National Commission on UNESCO, who have been partners in this. Karibu sana bwana.
Asante sana. Good morning. Good morning once more. Well, let me first of all acknowledge those who have spoken before me and those who will speak after me. The MC, Victor, thank you very much. Of course, the representative from the County Commissioner, Bonawere, Eric Odwol, Martin Masai, Christian Kuria, thank you very much. And those who will speak after me, the CEO and my friend, very outspoken. We see journalism even in the CEO's WhatsApp group. Thank you very much. You excite the group, because without you, we might be really very quiet. So thank you for that. And of course, the representative of the Secretary for Information, and whoever will represent the chief guests, the County of Nakuru. I want to start with a simple quote, that there is no democracy without press freedom. And there is no press freedom without the safety of journalists. Now, allow me to appreciate, as I set the context of what I want to say, that we are honored to join and commemorate this International Day to End Impunity for Crimes Against Journalists. This is a very major topic. And as we speak, the UNESCO General Conference is meeting in Uzbekistan. And this is one of the topics. I remember not long ago when we were entering an MOU with another National Commission for UNESCO in one of the countries, but it wants to observe only 4 programs for UNESCO, yet UNESCO has 5 programs. And the 5 programs are education, natural science, social and human sciences, culture, and the last one, communication and information. And it is under communication and information program that we are able to link with the Media Council of Kenya, among other, within the journalism fraternity. And this country did not have the 5th program, communication and information. And I don't want to mention the name, but the reason is simple. Their democratic space is very narrow. So to me, when we talk about media, we are really talking about the space we want to breathe, the free air in, to drink the water that is really free, and to mind about that integration, socio-integration. So I commend the Media Council of Kenya and the various partners for spearheading this wonderful day. As UNESCO, and we represent UNESCO as Kenya National Commission for UNESCO, whereby, for those who are not aware, is that the moment you become a state member to UNESCO, you ascribe to form a national commission for UNESCO. Currently, we are 195 countries who are members or state members to UNESCO, and we have 199 national commissions for UNESCO. There are more because some countries have territories. And Kenya, we became a member number 73 in 1964, when through our first Minister for Education, Lawrence Sagini, who facilitated the signing by the first president of Kenya. And that is where the National Commission for UNESCO was formed. After its formation, it existed as a department until 2013, when through an act of parliament, we became a state corporation. So UNESCO recognizes the role of Media Council in promoting press freedom and empowering media as a watchdog to governance, justice, and rule of law. Some may be against various watchdogs, but watchdogs must work because that is their responsibility in a democratic system. So this day is very important to all of us, and thank you because you are here to learn, to commemorate, or to find out what is being spoken. So it's a significant day, a moment to reflect on journalism's role in society, which is for collective responsibility to ensure journalists work free from intimidation, harassment, or violence. And it reinforces the commitment to freedom of expression and access to information, pillars of democracy. We are already very fresh and still listening to what is happening among our neighbors or one of our neighbors. And I know one reporters who like reporting on election, and today morning I was reading an article that he could not be able to participate in reporting because of the many requirements to register as an external journalist in that specific space. And you can imagine, not only international, it means even those locals. Sometimes we have argued that Kenya, we are corrupt, and I would say Kenya, we are not corrupt. It's because sometimes we are able to talk about it. There are places where corruption is so much, but because nobody is given space to talk about it, the neighbors think that house is very good. But anyway, time will tell. I like the theme of today because honestly, all of us, we are getting into the media. I mean the AI issues, the digital issues, and there are many. And at National Commission for UNESCO and UNESCO, we have been talking about AI. And Kenya has been a champion of the ethics of AI. And we have gone beyond because we are also championing the ethics of neuroscience, where we believe perhaps in future is that AI gadgets or hardware will be implanted into people and will become the actual AI systems and not thinking by ourselves, but what we think is processed by an AI, not through the interaction with a gadget like the laptop I'm holding. So it becomes very important to observe the ethics. And this ethics applies also to the works of all journalists. May they, not of all profession, not just journalists. May they be teachers, may they be medical, fraternity, among others. So ChatGPT or GBV, GBV, raising awareness on AI facilitates gender-based violence against women journalists. And at UNESCO, we have talked about this quite a lot, and recently we have had several training. So threats have evolved from physical violence to digital, gendered, and AI-amplified attacks. Of course, you are all aware of what AI can do, and it can be lethal. So women journalists face online abuse, doxing, manipulated images, harassment, networks, and disinformation campaigns. So really there is much. And actually not only women. I think sometimes we emphasize and we forget the boy child. And the boy child is dying alone. Nobody is noticing. So this attacks silence voices and actually weakens the democratic space that we all want to enjoy. So safety of journalism is a national concern. It is a concern of everyone. Journalist safety is not just media issue. It is a governance issue. It is a societal issue, and therefore we must take it seriously. Media and police share frontline roles in serving the public interest. And you have seen this even in the images, who are in the front line. And therefore we want to say again and again, media and police share a frontline role in serving the public interest. And therefore, collaboration needs to be strengthened in order for us to strengthen the democracy. And with that then, we'll talk about structured engagement. And how do we get there to structured engagement? At UNESCO, and of course with Media Council, the various stakeholders and partners, we have really engaged in a structured way, even with the IPOA and the police. Recently, we had a major training in Nanyuki for senior police and female journalists. And I'm happy one of the senior deputy commissioner came to our office to collect the manual that we developed jointly on safety of women journalists. Building that partnership is very, very important. Understanding each other and having